to a powerful reminder that the rule of law still matters, even in a city that tried to look the other way. Over 800 undocumented migrants were detained in a surprise ICE operation that critics are calling excessive, but others see as long overdue. Months of surveillance finally led to real consequences. There was no media leak, no
Good
political...
evening and welcome once more to Melinci Radio Podcast, your number one source of news and entertainment. Today, breaking news. ICE arrested more than 800 illegal immigrants working at a Costco in Nashville, Tennessee. These breaking news were brought by Butterbliss. I'm going to play you guys this little mini documentary. Let me play it right now from Butterbliss, which I found real interesting. They kind of explain the situation of what's going on. Let me play this for you guys.
Folks in the crowd tell us there was a law enforcement presence at the gathering Sunday. It's still unclear what and if they had any involvement in the detaining process. The advocates say they're worried those people who've been arrested will be taken via bus to an ICE detention center and deported. And though this bus they attempted to stop was empty, they said they plan to wait throughout the day, choosing to stay and advocate for those who can't leave.
What looked like a normal morning at a Nashville Costco turned into a powerful reminder that the rule of law still matters, even in a city that tried to look the other way. Over 800 undocumented migrants were detained in a surprise ICE operation that critics are calling excessive, but others see as long overdue. Months of surveillance finally led to real consequences.
What do you guys think? Is it excessive or is long overdue? Leave the comments below.
There was no media leak, no political warning, just swift action. Federal agents moved in with precision, blocking exits and performing ID checks backed by solid intel.
Remember, guys, there were leaks. They were leaking the information not too long ago. Every time the ACE agents were going to arrest somebody, they were leaking it. And next thing you know, you have a mob waiting for you, waiting for the ACE agents and putting the agents at risk. So on this occasion, it was the information was tight. I guess, they didn't leak absolutely nothing.
Some call it secretive, but in reality, that silence is the only reason this raid actually worked. For too long, cities like Nashville have allowed illegal labor to flourish unchecked. But this sent a new message:
Not only Nashville, the entire country.
Sanctuary isn't immunity. Comment ICE if you support President Trump's crackdown and agree that every illegal immigrant should be deported, no matter how long they've been here. ICE wasn't just rounding up names off a list. This was a message. When agents moved in, they weren't just targeting criminals. They were reasserting federal authority in a city that many felt had gone soft on immigration enforcement. Liberals called it a dragnet. We call it overdue. If 800 people with no legal right to be here were removed in one sweep, what does that say about the scale of the problem? The operation was labeled surgical for a reason.
A lot of people have an argument because people that are been living in this country for 20, 30 years, in my personal opinion, I think we should find a way of somehow, as long as they haven't committed any crime, they're squeaky clean. I think we should find a way to give them papers. That's my personal opinion, because if you have 30 years, 30 years, and you haven't committed no crime, and you are, under the radar, all you're doing is feeding your family and all that stuff, I'd be more inclined to offer you a path to citizenship. Maybe you pay a big fine, or I don't know. They should. I think they should try to be more flexible with these people, because there's a lot of these people that they are working in the fields, picking up cotton, picking up fruits, vegetables, and all that stuff. And some people say yes, deport all of them. And in my personal opinion, I think they should find a path to legalize these people.
It was fast, efficient, and effective. No injuries, no leaks, just results. And to those who say families were broken up, where was this outrage when border agents were overwhelmed daily? ICE did their job. It's about time someone did.
Sirens blare as ICE agents and Tennessee Highway Patrol officers.
I have a problem with the excuse that, oh, you separating families and all that stuff. Number one, the law of the country must be followed. I just said that a second ago that we should find out, but that's my personal opinion. When it comes to the law must be followed. And the excuse that, oh, they're separating families and this and that. Listen, when somebody goes to jail, when the FBI or the police have to come to your house and pick you up in front of your kids, in front of everybody, nobody complains. They will separate you from your family right then and there, and nobody complains. So that excuse I don't buy. Oh, they're separating families and all that stuff. No. The law must be followed because a country with no law is not a country.
Officers guide a bus believed to be filled with detainees taken into custody in Nashville's Antioch area overnight, some knocking on the windows from inside the bus.
Let's be honest, Nashville didn't just wake up one day and get picked. It was chosen for a reason. ICE knew where to go because the data showed them exactly where the problems were: forged documents, human trafficking, exploited labor. This wasn't just a rumor, it was a pattern. And if advocacy groups want to pretend none of that matters, they're ignoring the communities crying for help. You can't scream about injustice while ignoring the damage being done by unchecked illegal labor markets. The Costco raid wasn't random, it was tactical and effective. If ICE is criticized for acting on data and facts, then we've got a bigger problem than just immigration. It's denial. This wasn't about optics, it was about deterrence. ICE made it crystal clear. If you break the law and think blending in will protect you, think again. A raid at a major retailer was always going to rattle nerves. That's the point. A society without enforcement invites chaos. And let's not pretend this is new. When day laborers gather illegally, you get exploitation and black market labor. Is that what we're defending? Parents missing? That's tragic. But who's responsible? The ones who put their families in that position, or the agents enforcing the law? The buses rolled out with 800 passengers who never should have been here. That's not a failure. That's a step toward restoring order.
She says her mom isn't a criminal. ICE hasn't released the names or charges of criminals, but will be releasing more details soon. The agency spokesperson tells me they have arrested convicted sex offenders, Trend Aragua, and MS-13 gang members. Advocates for the Tennessee Immigrant and Refugee Rights Coalition say migrants need legal counsel before they are detained.
The media can spin it however they want, but let's not forget, ICE didn't just scoop up random people. They had data. They had warrants. They had reason. Over 800 people weren't detained for singing hymns. They were flagged for violations. But here's the issue. Critics don't want lines. They want open doors and no consequences. If enforcing immigration law now counts as oppression, then what's the alternative? Let it all collapse? Tennessee has a right to protect itself. And ICE didn't come in swinging. They came in silent, calculated, and legal.
Listen, what the past administration did, especially to the Hispanic community, the illegal Hispanic community, was devastating by opening that border. Because now there's no excuse to enforcing the law to the max. And Donald Trump ran on these things. That's one of his promises. He was going to deport as much people as he could. He's going to do it. You know, he's on a mission. The American people voted for this. And he was smart, Trump. He warned everybody that it wasn't going to be pretty. They was going to use a lot of clips, of the raids and this and that, and that's exactly what's happening. And guess what? Those clips and all that stuff, they're not working because whoever voted for this, it is set on this issue. There's no turning back.
The silence afterward wasn't fear. It was the quiet shock of finally seeing action in a city that's been dragging its feet for too long. Critics claim families were frozen with fear. That's the consequence of long ignoring the law. The streets didn't erupt into chaos because ICE was excessive. They were calm because agents were prepared. What's truly dangerous is when cities forget that enforcement exists for a reason. Tennessee's leadership understood that. Governor Bill Lee didn't stutter. He applauded the raid, and he was right to. Political will matters. If the rule of law means anything, you can't back down just because some people are uncomfortable. Public safety isn't a popularity contest. It's a promise to the law-abiding, and ICE kept that promise in Nashville.
The sheriff says once an undocumented immigrant is behind bars, ICE has 48 hours to act. After that, the department only handles local charges. Supporters of the ICE operation want the sheriff's office to do more. Other counties are expanding their involvement with ICE through what's called the...
When leaders like Representative Mark Green support ICE, they're not pushing fear, they're defending sovereignty. This wasn't about hurting people. It was about stopping the slow erosion of legal norms. Critics scream xenophobia, but what they're really angry about is accountability. For too long, illegal immigration has been treated like a civil hiccup, when in reality, it's a calculated violation.
Illegal immigration is a problem, and that it's just a fact. Is a problem.
The Nashville raid was precise, and the coordination with nearby counties proves something else. The tide is turning. People are tired of watching laws get ignored. When local police join ICE, it sends the right message, one of unity, resolve, and a return to order.
But the first weekend of May seems to be an outlier. Tennessee Highway Patrol targeted a predominantly Hispanic area of Nashville with traffic stops, while ICE agents followed along. According to the data, nearly 70% of those arrested statewide during the first weekend of the operation.
Let's be clear, ICE isn't the villain. They're the cleanup crew for a system that's been ignored by city officials for years.
That is so true. They're not a villain. Remember, guys, the deporter-in-chief, Barack Obama, remember this, that man deported more people than any president in history, and no one says anything about it. I lived those 8 years of Obama, and I would never forget the Ahí viene la migra kind of became popular. You know? Immigration is coming became popular. That was the say. I used to work in a restaurant, and it was like, the migra is coming, immigration is coming, immigration. But that was the thing, you know. And that was under Obama. That was, and you didn't hear anything in the news. That's what's crazy. Anything at all. Unbelievable.
If some local sheriffs criticized the raid, it wasn't because it was wrong. It was because they are under pressure from political activists who mistake compassion for policy. Over 800 people detained, and many had prior offenses or records. Critics call that survival. We call it breaking the law. It's not ICE tearing communities apart. It's decades of willful neglect by leadership too afraid to enforce the law. Sanctuary cities failed. Nashville just proved why. You either uphold immigration laws or you dissolve national borders one Costco at a time.
ICE and Tennessee troopers are making their presence known throughout Nashville. ICE telling Fox 17 News they are focused on removing criminals for public safety. Monday night marks the second time they use traffic stops to crack down on undocumented immigrants.
The operation at Costco wasn't just a raid, it was a reality check. If you think immigration law should be optional, think again. Over 800 deportations in a single day, without violence, without injury, proves that order is possible. But order isn't always comfortable. Critics say ICE used fear. Maybe so. But fear of consequences is exactly what the system needs right now. Enough loopholes, enough excuses. When people come here illegally and remain under the radar for years, it takes bold action to restore balance. That's what this was. A clear message, break the law, and eventually someone will knock.
Folks in the crowd tell us there was a law enforcement.
What do you guys think about this? What do you guys think? Comment below, because this situation is serious. More than 10 to 15 million illegal immigrants came across the border. Nobody know the exact number, but that's the number that I hear people saying. Allegedly, 10 to 15. But that's crazy. That's crazy. A country that doesn't have a border is not a country. And they opened the border deliberately, on purpose. The reason is unclear. You guys can have an opinion on why that happened. And if you guys still agree with what Trump is doing regarding deportations. I see you guys in my next video. Remember to like and subscribe and follow me at Melin Silverio Podcast on YouTube, Melin Silverio 1 on TikTok, Melin Silverio on Instagram, and Melin Silverio on Facebook. I'm everywhere. Just follow me. I see you guys in the next video. Ciao.